So Oklahoma taking on Iowa State is a game that I think a lot of college football fans are going to overlook. When you first look at this game, two teams who are unranked, two teams who haven't been playing their best football, and two teams who are trying to find any sort of positivity to latch onto and build off of for the remainder of their season. However, when you really start diving into the details, I think this is going to be a fun game to watch, much better than people are anticipating. And today, we need to break it down because this is a tremendous opportunity for Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners, and they cannot overlook Iowa State. Before we jump into all of this, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you think this is going to be a better game than a lot of people anticipate? And then drop me your score predictions. That way we can talk about it come Monday. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below as those interactions are massive to content creators such as myself. But having said all that, let's jump right into this, and let's start by talking about Iowa State, because like I said, I do genuinely believe this is a game where college football fans in general are going to overlook it, but when you really start diving into it, this has a lot of matchups that I find really exciting. And when you look at Iowa State, they're a team where offensively, they just haven't been able to get it together with any sort of consistency this year. Now, having said that, their last game was probably their best offensive performance against the Texas Longhorns, where Dekker by far had his best performance of the year, and if we don't have one dropped pass, we're talking about a different game. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you if Hutchinson catches that pass, Iowa State wins the game. There was still a lot of football to be played. Adjustments would have been made. It would have been interesting to see, but what I am telling you is it would have been a different game. Having said that, however, I was in the camp that thought that Texas win versus Iowa State was much more impressive than a lot of people thought. Now, I didn't think that it made Texas a world beater or stamped them being back. That's not my contention. My contention is I think this Iowa State team is a little bit better than people give them credit for. When you look at their defense, they have the typical Matt Campbell Iowa State defense. And what's so impressive about that is we talk at length here on the channel about the 3-3-5 and where its strengths lie relative to where its weaknesses lie. Typically with the 3-3-5, you're going to have a really tough time passing on it because they have so many guys dedicated to defending that aspect of the game. But it leaves openings in the rushing attack. We've seen time and time again, and the example we give all the time here on the channel when we're talking about the 3-3-5 is that playoff game where Alabama took on Cincinnati. And it was a close game when you looked at the score, but when you watched the game, Alabama pretty much well had their way. Cincinnati came out in a light front, that 3-3-5, and Alabama just ran it on them all game long because they took what the defense gave you. When we're talking about the Matt Campbell Iowa State 3-3-5, though, it's a top 15 defense against the run, which is really impressive when you're talking about the 3-3-5, and it really goes to show why so many people have gone to Matt Campbell to learn some of the intricacies he employs in his 3-3-5, including Brent Venables. So, I can't wait to see this. Anytime I get to watch Iowa State's defense, you can sign me up. I'm watching it. It's impressive that they lost some of the pieces they lost last year, and still, we're sitting here talking about this defense. But if I am looking at this game and thinking, okay, what's the way Iowa State is going to carve out a path to victory? It's got to be through the defense, and that doesn't mean the offense isn't important. We'll get to that. But if I'm looking at Iowa State's defense, this is the strength of their team. And when I look across the aisle and I look at Oklahoma's offense, there are several areas where you have got to watch out for. Oklahoma's offense comes in as a top 25 offense in the nation, so they're nothing to scoff at. And one thing to remember, they have that top 25 rank, and they didn't have their quarterback, Dillon Gabriel, for about a game and a half this year. Halfway through the TCU game, he gets knocked out due to injury, unable to go through the Texas game. Now, we've seen this, quarterbacks not be able to play for their teams before. This is nothing unique in college football. However, what was a little bit unique in the situation that Oklahoma had was the drop-off from Dillon Gabriel to the next guy in this offense. And I think one of the easiest ways to explain that is the familiarity Dillon Gabriel has with Jeff Lebby. It is not their first time working together. Jeff Lebby and Dillon Gabriel were together at UCF years ago, so they have an understanding of what to expect out of one another. So that is huge for Oklahoma. I bring that to your attention because Oklahoma's offense is the best thing they do. Their defense has struggled this year. It's a lot of changes, a lot of new faces, and a sweeping scheme change. Their offense is a unit that continues to get better. They continue to progress, and you have got to watch out for them. But Iowa State's defense might try and have an answer for them. And an individual we've got to talk about on Iowa State's defense is Will McDonald, someone who's terrorized the Big 12 for years now, and someone who Iowa State fans are going to be looking at him to have a big game. Because if you can slow down Dillon Gabriel, if you can nullify Dillon Gabriel, you have got to like your chances. However, if you let Dillon Gabriel start getting in rhythm, if he can start chipping away, finding his matchups, and then let Eric Gray get going in the running game, you're going to have a hard time beating this Oklahoma offense. Because one thing we've seen out of this Oklahoma offense is when they get in rhythm, they score, and they score quickly. The one thing we also have seen, though, from Oklahoma's offense is if you can get them out of rhythm, it takes them a while to start establishing that rhythm again. So this is why I say I think a lot of people are going to overlook this game. There are so many great matchups. You're talking about a top 25 offense against a top 15 defense. You're talking about what Oklahoma does well in their offense, talking about their rushing attack versus Iowa State's defense, who ranks as a top 15 rush. Because as much as Dillon Gabriel is absolutely the X factor for Oklahoma, and he is, Eric Gray and that rushing attack have been really impressive this year. And Eric Gray has had a coming out party. I've been talking about him on this channel since he transferred from Tennessee to Oklahoma. I love his skill set, and I think with Jeff Lebby, he brings exactly what Lebby wants to the table when you look at the versatility he has. He's someone who can hurt you in the running game. He can hurt you in the passing game. I think we start to see a little bit more of him mixed in the passing game in this game. Why? Because it's easy completions. It's a great way to get your offense in rhythm. And what did we just say? When this offense gets in rhythm, they get dangerous. Well, Eric Gray can help you get in rhythm. And not only Eric Gray, but Willis, the tight end for Oklahoma, is quietly having one of the best years for the entire team of Oklahoma Sooners. He's been very impressive this year, really is having some big games, and I think another guy who could have a big game this weekend because of the defense Iowa State runs. It's going to be difficult to try and get long gains on them, but they will have Marvin Mims worked in this game. Make no mistake about it. But guys such as Willis, guys such as Eric Gray, those are the matchups I'm watching for Oklahoma's offense versus Iowa State defense. But now let's flip the script. Let's talk about Iowa State's offense versus Oklahoma's defense, because these are the two units that have really been trying to find themselves. Right now, if we look at it, Iowa State's offense ranks 88th in total offense, where Oklahoma's defense ranks number 116 in total defense. And if you were to ask the general population, what does Iowa State do well on offense? I think a lot of people would tell you, oh, it's their rushing attack. But that's just not the case this year. In fact, their rushing attack ranks as number 118 in the nation, whereas their passing attack, that ranks as 40th in the nation. And this bodes well for Oklahoma, because even though their defense as a whole has struggled, their defense against the pass is much better than their defense against the run, where their passing defense comes in as 85th in the nation, as opposed to their rushing defense, which is 121st, or tied for 121st in the nation. Now, the one good thing for Iowa State is their running backs, according to head coach Campbell, are as healthy as they've been all season. And you're going to need them. Because as we talk about Iowa State's use of a three-man front, so too does Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners employ a three-man front. So if you're Iowa State, those running backs coming back healthy, giving you some more opportunities to take some pressure off of your young quarterback, spread that pressure around, and keep Oklahoma's defense guessing, that's going to be big. Because this is an Oklahoma defense that's heard what's been said. They know where they rank, and they know they can do better. And this is a great opportunity for them to go out there and show people that they're an improving unit. So they're going to be looking to take away something from Iowa State. So if you are Iowa State, you want to come into this matchup with as much at your disposal as possible. And speaking about a weapon at your disposal, you have one of the biggest mismatches in the Big 12, Hutchinson. Hutchinson stands 6'3". He is a great possession receiver, and he has got a knack for terrorizing defenses. So I'm really interested to see what Oklahoma is going to do to try and slow him down, because he's such a mismatch. So at the end of the day, I think this is a game, while people are going to overlook it, it's going to be a ton of fun. When you start diving into the details, there's so much to be excited for, and it's going to be very telling. For either team, this is a fantastic opportunity to get a win, a big win, and continue building. Because I do think that this game is a tremendous opportunity for both coaches, but I can't wait to hear from y'all. Hop down to the comments and let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See you.